What's up, people? Well, back to the beginning. I had, working on 2,000 subscribers, which stinks, but what stinks even worse is they took my YouTube down, said it wasn't good for children. When they've got little girls half naked all over YouTube, talking about it ain't good for children. And that's the whole reason I did my site. It turned into other things, but the whole purpose of me doing my site was because I was a scarred up kid. And I didn't deal with that pain positively. And I wanted to tell my story and let people know, especially some young person that might be going through some bad things in their life, that sometimes bad things happen to us. And it's not fair, and it's not right. But if you deal with those things negatively, you'll just end up destroying yourself. I dealt with it negatively, and I stayed drunk and high as much as I could to numb the pain, not have to feel the hurt I was feeling inside. And I became a very violent person. And I took my hurt out on other people that didn't deserve it. I was what they call a savage. But the powers that be decided to take my YouTube down. 3 years of videos. Some of those videos, I had videos, I'm not doing good physically. I do not have much time left. And I wanted to try, I thought maybe if I could get one person, just one person, to take a look at my life and see what dealing with things negatively got me. If I could just get one person, that's all I wanted, to choose a different path in life, then my whole messed up life would be worth something good. Along the way doing that, as my health got worse, I did a video for each one of my children, letting them know how much I love them. I did videos for my wife. I did videos for my father, who we don't talk. And my family. And they're all gone. They're all taken down. Now they say it's because my videos weren't good for children. Well, there's a lot of people that watched my videos, and every video I clicked the not for children video or not for children thing before I put it up. Now I did have some that were for younger viewers, and I had them in a category that said my videos for younger viewers, because I grew up from the age of 15 and a half on. I was either on the streets or I was locked up somewhere until I was about 26. So, growing up on the streets and in institutions and everything else, I talk like the people talked in all the places that I was in. I cuss a lot. But outside of that, I can't think of anything that I did that's bad for kids. I mean, most of the things I said, most kids hear at home. They hear at school, or, I mean, you got teachers in schools right now having them read books, you know, in grade school about oral sex and all kinds of real nifty stuff. But 3 years of my life in videos was taken down, and I know what it's over. You know, it's been proven, it's common knowledge now, that before Trump and Biden had their stupid election, the FBI and the powers that be were suppressing that whole laptop thing, and they were paying YouTube. I watched Mark Zuckerberg. I watch all these ESPN, you know, congressional hearings, C-SPAN congressional hearings. Mark Zuckerberg admitted it, that the FBI was pressuring them to suppress the truth and push something that wasn't true. And I think most Americans are starting to see that now with all the lies that are going on. But I did a video a while back saying that I needed to watch talking about politics because I had gotten some warnings. The first one I posted a exact quote out of the Bible from the book of Isaiah or Jeremiah. It's that what Samuel L. Jackson says in the movie Pulp Fiction, where I will strike down on you with great vengeance and fury, you know. Word for word, quote out of the Bible. And they said they were going to take my YouTube down because I was inciting violence. And I basically wrote them back and told them that that was a direct quote out of the Bible, and that Samuel L. Jackson is on hundreds of videos all over YouTube saying the exact same thing. Then I got another warning when I started talking about politics. And I did a video, I said I need to watch that or I'm going to lose everything I worked for. Well, sure enough, I started talking about politics again because me, just like every other American's getting angry about things going on. And some probably fat, hairy lip, crazy radical fact checker come along, didn't like what I was saying, so they took my stuff down. 3 years of my life, what I was planning on leaving behind when I was gone, so that maybe I could help some kid not destroy his life like I destroyed mine. So there'd be some videos from my brothers, my wife, my children. There'd be something of me left after I was gone. But they took it all down. The only reason I started this YouTube is so I can still see the people that I've met, that I care about, and that matter to me on YouTube. Until I made another account, I couldn't even get on YouTube. So, what I'm probably going to do is I'm going to try telling my story again without cussing. I try doing some videos for my children. I don't know how much time I got, but and this time, when I upload the video to YouTube, I'm going to back it up on a hard drive, and I'm going to put it on Truth Social and other platforms where you're not censored like you are on YouTube. I'm not going to be talking about politics because I think the battle lines have been drawn in this country. And you can take and you can sit people down and you can show them facts, proof. They don't care. All they care about is what they feel. It's crazy. It's like the world has just totally lost their mind. I always said I would never monetize my channel. And I don't tell many people this because they'll think I'm crazy. But I swear, it's a true story. So I'm going to tell you why I never monetized. And now if I would have monetized and I was bringing in a bunch of money for YouTube, had a bunch of viewers, they wouldn't have took my channel down. I can think of all kinds of channels that have very sexually explicit stuff. I mean, not good at all for children. But I ain't going to throw them under the bus because I'm not a little snitch. But I'm going to, make sure I got my videos backed up because these people, the thought police, the quote fact checkers, that probably it's just ridiculous. I mean, they have taken 3 years of my life and what I was trying to leave after I was gone so I could close my eyes with a little bit of peace. They've taken that from me. And I'm going to make sure this time I'm smart. Fool me once, shame on me. I'm going to make sure my videos are backed up and on platforms where you actually have freedom of speech. Unfortunately, on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Elon Musk bought it and fixed it. Found all kinds of proof what was going on. And like I said, I watched the congressional hearings. Oh, and the other thing I posted right before they took my channel down was I posted the actual proposed budget that the government shut down over. So everybody could read that budget and see who was telling the truth and who was telling the lying. Well, see, that's why they lie. Because most Americans don't have time to sit down and read through the national budget. They don't have time to sit down and read through all these laws and bills they're passing. Most Americans are too busy working 2 jobs, barely getting by, trying to feed their family to read all that. But I put it up there so people could read it, and then people would know who's telling the truth and who's lying. And 2 days after, boom, got a thing saying my YouTube was gone. I appealed, but nothing will happen. I'm a low guy. They got corporate lawyers, can keep me tied up in court way past my death. So I just got to start all over again. But I'm going to tell you why I never monetized. If you believe me, you believe me. If you don't, I don't care. But it's the truth. I've been telling Amy this since me and Amy got together over 28 years ago. When I was little, I'm talking 5, my mom and dad got in an argument. And it got real bad. And I got scared. Most of the time, whenever I was scared back then, I would get in a room away from them, and I had a basset hound named Mandy, and I would cuddle up with Mandy and I would whisper in her ear. She was my first best friend. I would tell her how scared I was, and Mandy, she knew all my fears, all my tears, everything. But I was very scared that day. And I went out in the woods. And I had been in them woods a bunch of times. But I come up into this clearing. And there are these giant sunflowers. And everything is so bright. And sunflowers, they're going to seem real big to a kid. But these were just larger than life. And I know it sounds crazy, but it's the truth. Somebody asked me to do something that day. They said it was going to be very hard. They said I was going to go through a lot of pain. I told them I would do it. The only problem is, as the years went on, the memory's still there. I remember it vividly. But I could never remember what it was that I said I would do. And I was telling Amy for years, I wish I could remember what I said I was going to do. I didn't see anybody that day. I don't remember seeing anybody. But I know it happened. It wasn't a dream. It was real. Believe it or not, I don't really care at this point. But as my life went on, and I didn't deal with all the hurt and the pain positively, I ended up in so many places, so many institutions, so many prisons, so many jails. I was in care unit for 3 months. That was for drug rehab. I was in Highland Center for drug rehab. I was in St. Elizabeth's Hospital Nut Ward when I tried to kill myself as a juvenile. That's where I was actually saved. I was put in Weldon Springs Mental Institution 3 times, kept on Thorazine, heavy doses of Thorazine, and shock therapy. When I was a good boy, I would get 3 Thorazine pills a day and a little measuring cup of orange juice to wash it down with. And when I would flip out, I'd get strapped down on a metal bed and shot in the rear end with Thorazine. First time they hit me with Thorazine, I thought I was going to puke. I was in Youth in Need. Said Highland Center. Then the 3rd time that I was in Weldon Springs Mental Institution, juvenile wing, I got kicked out for attacking a kid with a metal napkin holder that the napkins come out both sides. When they pulled me off of him, there's blood all over around his head on the floor, and he wasn't moving. They strapped me down, shot me in the rear, and they called my mom. And my mom told me in Arizona she got that call, and they told her, you need to come get your son. And my mother said, what do you mean I need to come get my son? And they said, we can't control him here. And she said, you are a lockdown mental institution. You have him on major tranquilizers. She said, he throws my 240-pound, 6-foot-tall husband around this house like a rag doll. What am I supposed to do with him? And somebody suggested that she sign me over to the state of Illinois. So I became a ward of the state. And in my mother's defense, nobody fought harder to save me from myself than my mother. My mother tried everything at least once. Some things many times. But then I went to a foster home, a couple foster homes, and every time I'd get to one, I'd attack somebody. And the state sent me to Chaddock in Quincy, Illinois. And I stayed there till I was 18. At 18, they had to release me. From 15 and a half to 18, I was either a runaway on the streets or I was locked up somewhere. I got out when I was 18. My mom tried to let me come back to the house. And it didn't work out. She came to me one day and she said, Mark, I love you. You're my son. I will always, always love you. But my husband is sleeping at the office because he's scared to death you're going to come in the middle of the night and kill him. You got to go, sink or swim. And at the time, I was mad at her for that. I felt like she gave up on me. But looking back on it, it's the best thing my mother ever did for me. Because from that point on, I had to be accountable for my actions. There was nobody buying me lawyers trying to bail me out. I don't know how many times I've been to jail. I know just in St. Clair County, Illinois, I have 37 batteries. Each one of those I went to jail over. 37 batteries. That's not counting assaults with weapons, possession of firearms, everything else that's on there. I bounced around in and out of city jails, county jails. I've been in jail in Missouri. I was collecting money over in Missouri. St. Charles County Jail. They made a deal with me on a court case that they'd drop charges if I just left the state and went back over to Illinois. Which I did. Kept going to jail, fighting. This is just a brief overview. Went to jail in Arlington, Texas. Went to jail in Bryant County, Oklahoma. I did that in one weekend. I don't know how many times I've been in jail. Back in the day, they had this thing, it was called cop-out court. The jail was so overcrowded in St. Clair County on the east side of St. Louis that if you were in on a misdemeanor battery, they'd call you for cop-out court. You go to cop-out court, you plead guilty, they give you time served, let you go. That's like right now in Illinois. I picked the wrong time to be a criminal. I got a friend, he's got 4 Class X felonies he's gotten in the last 4 or 5 months. Class X felonies. A home invasion is a Class X felony. Class X felony carries 6 to 30 years. He's got 2 of them. Or no, 4 of them. And they're all in different counties. So he's looking at 24 to 120 years. He's already done 22 years of his life in prison. And they keep releasing him, no bail. But That's neither here nor there. I got married. I was a roofer. And while I was married, we started a little clique. Nothing organized. It wasn't. We didn't ride under Finball or Six or nothing like that. But we got big enough that I was getting calls from some pretty big dudes calling me in for sit downs. That's how me and Nate got that big case. We got called in by a guy. I'm not going to say his name. But he said, Mark, you're making quite a name for yourself. And I said, I guess so. And he said, well, I'm going to tell you something. You guys can do your thing. But if something happens in Mitch and Nancy's, my daughter works in there. If anything should happen in that bar while she's working in there, I will kill every one of you. And I will start with you and kill you first. I assured the man nothing was going to happen. Or I'm sorry, he said he was going to unalive us. He's going to unalive us. I assure you, I will unalive you first. But I assured him nothing was going to happen. And this guy that was wanting to hook up with us, he was with us, and he started running his mouth to this man, asking him who did he think he was talking to. I told Tommy, I said, Tommy, get him out of here. Tommy got him outside. I finished my conversation with the man because I told him, I said, ain't nothing going to happen. And he said, that's all I need to know. I know you're a man of your word. We get walking down the street. Tommy's like, man, who do you think you are? Do you know who you're talking to there? And the dude got smart with Tom. Long story short, they got in a fight. Tom's winning. He's on top. I love Tom. He's a good brother, but Tom is so slow that when he cocks back to hit you, you have time to think about where you want to move and where you want to hit him before his fist gets to you. Problem with Tom is Tom keeps coming. The night I met Tom, we were at a party and some guys flipped a wooden table upside down and ripped the wooden legs off of it and started beating Tom. And that fight went on for a while and Tom was a bloody mess. And me and the two guys that were there, I said, I ain't going to sit here and watch this. And we jumped in and helped Tom. But Tom was actually winning. The guy said, I'm done. And I said, don't you get off him, Tommy. Tom got off of him. And the guy got up and they started fighting again. And the guy got the upper hand on Tom. Well, while we were walking down the road, Tom's wife was walking down where we were, and she started walking with us before they got in the fight. So she reaches down and grabs the guy to try to pull him off of her husband, and he gets up and punches her in the face. And me and Nate took the boots to that dude. When the police pulled me off of him, his eyeball was hanging out of his eye socket because his orbital socket got crushed. And while the police are hitting me with nightsticks, I am trying to pop this guy's eyeball. I was a savage. I was vicious. I raged at the world for a long time. But they finally beat me off of them. At first, they were talking attempted murder. Then they decided, we're not going to go with attempted murder, we're going to go with heinous battery. That's where you disfigure somebody so badly that they're just not going to be right. There's either brain damage or they're physically disfigured. It's a Class X felony, 6 to 30. Well, I told Tom, I said, Tommy, we have got to stay on this case with Nate. Our friend Nate's black. You know, and Tom's like, why? And I said, because if Nate's on this case alone, they're going to hang him. I mean, they will hang him. He's gonna get all kinds of years, and it's not smart to stay on a case altogether, because what one gets you all get. But I knew if Nate was on his own case, he was going to have problems. So it's the only time in my life I've ever done that. We stayed on the same case, and it helped because they reduced it down to aggravated battery, which is only 2 to 5 years. But we got felony probation. And we were on felony probation. And then we were in county jail 6-7 months on that case. We got put on felony probation. The woman I was married to, them glamour shots came out. She had a kid already. We had 2 kids, one on the way. I was barely keeping diapers on kids' rear ends and buying formula and working as a roofer, and all I heard, I want glamour shots. I want glamour shots. There was these photos they would do, and they dress them up, they do their hair and their makeup, and Marla's got glamour shots, and I want glamour shots, and da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. I couldn't take it no more. I snapped, I went down, and I robbed Lloyd's Texaco gas station. And somebody I took a beating trying to protect in the county jail snitched on me. And I ran for a while. And then I turned myself in. A good friend of mine got me one of the best criminal defense attorneys in the area, pro bono. But I got sentenced to 4 years. And at that time in Illinois, if you had a 4-year sentence, you had day for day and then 6 months good time. So theoretically, on a 4-year sentence, day for a day, you take half off. So I'm down to 2 years. And then with your 6 months good time, theoretically on a 4-year sentence in Illinois back then, you could be out in 18 months. Because I got arrested in 1991, late 90s, early 91. But found myself in the county jail, and I got a letter one day from the ex-wife with her glamour shot pictures. So she got glamour shots, I got a mug shot. On a 4-year sentence, I did right at 4 years. I lost all my good time and got some extra time because I joined a prison gang. And I'm lucky I didn't get a lot more time joining a prison gang. But, so, did my prison time. And in prison, finally, my heart was softened. I seen a young kid, I don't know how to say it nice, he was getting turned out. And it's the only good thing. I did some terrible things in my life, some terrible things in prison. It's the only good thing I did in prison was I ended up taking that kid under my wing and looking out for him. Because I had gotten my flag. And when I finally got transferred out of maximum security, after a couple years, went down to a medium. To tell you the truth, though, I'd have rather stayed in the max. You know, get down to medium, everybody swells up, thinks they're all tough because they're not around the lifers no more, you know, and want to act fools. I'd have rather been at the max with the lifers. But, so, that's the only good thing I did in there. But, you know, whenever I got out of prison, You know, the stuff I went through as a kid, the abuse and everything, it was bad. And then all them years on the streets and locked up, I learned how to speak the language of violence fluently. As a matter of fact, when I came back from Arizona, I had a friend call me, not a friend, a brother, asking what had happened to me. And I said, what do you mean what happened to me? He said, dude, everybody's running around town saying you got to see Mark. Mark has changed. Mark is nice. He's changed. And he said, Mark, you were the most violent man I have ever met in my life. What happened to you? Nate, my best friend since high school, he lives here with me and my wife because all his people are dead. And whenever I come back, Nate said, Mark, I was glad you went to Arizona. And that hurt me. I was like, dude, how can you say that, bro? I missed you guys while I was out there. And he said, Mark, you were so evil. I didn't know if I'd keep running with you, bro. And when Nate said that, it really hit me hard. And I said, evil, Nate? And he goes, you don't remember, dude? I chased a guy through a house one time shooting at him. Didn't know who lived in the house. I was trying to shoot and kill him. You would think if you do something like that, the dude really did something bad to you. I couldn't tell you his name, and I couldn't tell you what he did. So it must not have been too serious. The point is, I could go from zero to that, just snap of a finger. And a lot of that's because I was beaten up by a motorcycle club when I was 16 and a half. So bad they almost beat me to death. I had a ruptured testicle. Every rib on both sides of my body was either broken or fractured. Ruptured testicle. And my head was so swollen I couldn't see for a week and a half. Now, those same guys in that motorcycle club were good to me. Later on, they took me under their wing, and I learned from those guys. But whenever I say I spoke the language of violence fluently, my mom at one time had some of the notes they took at the nut ward I was in. And by the way, my diagnosis at the nut ward is intermittent explosive disorder and manic depressive bipolar. And according to my neurologist, the reason I have the intermittent explosive disorder, I've never said this to my mom or dad because I don't want them feeling guilty, is because I was put on heavy doses of Ritalin at 3 years old. It's in my baby book. I can take you inside and show you right now. 3 years old, I was doped up on Ritalin. So much so that I've been told that when I was little, the other kids be out playing and stuff, and I'd be sitting there coloring. Just coloring. I was all zombied out because I was doped up on Ritalin. Whenever I told my neurologist that, he freaked out. And he said, what were your parents thinking? And I can't say what I said to him because there was a lot of cuss words. But basically what I said to him is I said, my parents, my dad was a union carpenter. My mother was a homemaker. My parents thought your colleague knew what he was talking about. And he showed me the long-term studies. And in my age group, I was on them till about freshman year. In my age group, on them that long, the brain development in the front part of the brain is up to 20% less. Because the human brain does not fully develop till you're 25 years old. That's why I'm against children making life-changing decisions when they're little children. Because their brain's not developed yet. They don't know who they are yet. But not only that, but the studies show that the people in my group in that study don't have as many neurotransmitters. Neurotransmitters are the signal that fires the message through your brain all the way through. So what happens is sometimes I'll get angry and my body gets ahead of my thought process. But sometimes before I think, okay, Mark, if you do this, these are the consequences. Sometimes my brain doesn't think quick enough and process all that. The frontal part of your brain is your cognitive. That's your, if I do this, these are the consequences. And mine's not as developed. And I don't have as many neurotransmitters. And it's because I was put on heavy, heavy doses of Ritalin at 3 years old. That's not my mother and father's fault. There's a lot of chemistry that chemistry, there's a lot of calculus that goes into that chemistry. And my father was a carpenter, my mother was a homemaker, and neither one had any idea about none of that stuff. And they just trusted what the doctor was saying. They just had a congressional hearing that shot for this big rampant disease that we had going, that shot is responsible for 70% of the deaths because they pushed it through and didn't test it the way they were supposed to and everything else. But the reason I didn't monetize when I did my channel the first time is because when I got the news from the doctor that my health was bad and that I might not have all that long, I got time to meditate on my life and look back on all of it. And I told my wife one day, I said, I think what God wanted me to do is tell my story. Because I really believe I didn't see nobody, wasn't no voice from the sky. Somebody asked me to do something that day. They said it was going to be very hard and I was going to go through a lot of pain. Looking back on my life, I've gone through a lot of pain. You just got a general summary, not even a little bit of detail. And I don't think God put me on this earth. Once you got God in your heart, you can't do the things you used to do before. Your heart's convicted. You have a conscience. And I believe with all my heart that that's what I was supposed to do. So I tried going to schools and talking to kids and trying to tell them, hey, you might have a right to be hurt. You probably got every right to be angry about it. But if you do like I did, and you go to drugs and alcohol so you don't have to feel the pain, and you rage against the world and you get violent and you hurt other people, you continue to be a victim because you're going to continue to hurt, except for now you're bringing hurt on yourself. The way you become a survivor is you succeed in life. You forgive and you succeed despite what they did to you. And I told whoever asked me to do something a long time ago that I would do it. And I believe with all my heart that that's what I was supposed to do. It all fits together like a puzzle. I went through a lot of pain. But going through that pain, I gained a lot of wisdom. I can remember all the places I was in. I would ask somebody, you ever been through this or this or this? And almost all the time they'd say, no, I haven't. And I would be like, well, how do you know what I'm feeling? How do you know what I'm going through? And I can assure you there aren't many kids that can say, I don't understand. I haven't been there because I've been everywhere. Everywhere. And I just wanted to, I look back on my life. I got 4 kids. One, my oldest, he was 2 weeks old when I met my ex-wife, but I finished raising him. She was strung out on crack cocaine when I got out of prison. But they all turned out good. And I broke the cycle. Me and my ex-wife divorced right whenever I got out of prison. And then I met my Amy. And I'll be doing videos about Amy. She's my whole world. I had a song made for her. It's called My Greatest Gift. And she's my most precious treasure in this world. She's put up with me addicted to heroin for 20 years, pain pills, heroin. I've got over 4 years clean, and I hurt every day of my life. I hurt bad. My body's broke down. That fast life, that partying and fighting and all that, it takes its toll on you. I have emphysema. I almost died a year ago. I had a bilateral pulmonary embolism. Blood clot was blocking both my lungs. That thing hit in the bathroom. I went in to take a leak and, man, it hit and I could not get any air. Breathing as deep as I couldn't get no air. And I just wanted to make it into the living room, kneel down in front. Video died on me, so I'm going to make this quick, but long story short, I didn't monetize my channel because I truly believe that's what God wanted me to do. And I'm not going to charge God for doing what I told him I would do when I was a little boy, scared to death out in the woods because my father was beating the hell out of my mother. But I'm going to try to redo the videos, obviously. I'm going to do the most important ones first. To my wife, to my children, and telling my story. Because it's very important to me. If I could, just one person would hear my story and not think they knew everything and they were smarter and slicker than everybody else. Not just listen, but hear. And if they would divert the path they're on of destruction, just that one person, to me, my life would be worth something good. That's what I was working for 3 years. And they took that from me. And I'm not happy about it. Matter of fact, I don't mind saying it, I cried. Because a lot of those videos, I put my heart in it. And it wasn't easy for me at first. I'm the kind of person that likes to be under the radar. And to throw myself out there and tell people things I'm ashamed of. I'm not proud of none of it. Man, you gotta be pretty sick to be proud that you wasted your entire life being violent and staying high. Everybody thinks that gangbanging stuff's cool. It ain't cool. It's stupid. You ask anybody that's really a part of that lifestyle, and you're not going to find them on YouTube. Anybody that's still a part, I got lucky. The organization I was in prison, it only exists in prison. Whenever I got out, I could be a father, grandfather, husband. But you ask anybody that's truly a part of that lifestyle, how cool it is. Most of them will tell you before they got out of grade school, they buried one or two friends. Ain't nothing cool about it. It's rinse and repeat every generation. Young men shooting each other dead in the streets over territorial rights to sell drugs. And nowadays it's gotten to where guys in your own set are just backdooring you. You're getting screwed over by your own people. There ain't nothing cool about it. It's prison and a cemetery, or both. But that's where it all ends up. The sad thing is these kids know about it before they're even out of grade school. Because dad was in the same gang, grandpa was in the same gang in the same neighborhood. You know, a cop shoots a black man, it's the end of the world. I've seen both sides. I've been down in the ghetto, and I could have had the silver spoon. And what we need to do in this country is we need to pump some money into these low-income communities, and we need to start creating a better school system for these children. We need to start teaching them trades, giving them other opportunities besides selling drugs. I remember one guy, whenever I was in county jail, he got, I can't believe how many years. It was like 18, 20 years for selling crack cocaine. And I'll never forget it. He looked me right in the eyes and he said, "Mark, I don't even do crack. My mom's on heroin. My dad, I don't even know who he is." He said, "I sell crack to feed my little brother and my little sister." And he looked me in the eyes and he said, "Who's going to feed them now?" I'll never forget it. Most of America thinks these people are just bad people. They're not bad people. It's dad ain't in the picture most of the time. Mom's running, trying. If she is working, she's working 2-3 jobs trying to raise her babies. And these children are not being held accountable for their actions. And they're running wild. Actions have consequences. Just like I'm dying a young man, those are the consequences. Just like there's a graveyard full of young gangbangers in this city. It's part of the consequences. That's why we got to start pumping money into these communities and creating opportunities for these youngsters instead of killing each other generation after generation after generation. Rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. And then you go and you vote for some politician who never does a damn thing for you. But I ain't going to get into politics. But I quit trying to speak at schools. Schools would tell me that I can't talk about God in school. Maybe that's what's wrong with our society. Hey, do you know where my bike keys are? I need them. Give me the other keys. Won't let me talk about God in school. Even if you don't believe in God, Everybody all attacking the Christians. What's wrong with teaching our children the Ten Commandments? What's wrong with teaching our children, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not commit adultery, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's goods, thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor? What's wrong with teaching our children those principles? But I won't tell my story unless I can give God the glory for it. Because when I was saved, it was such a powerful experience, it left no doubt in my mind that there's a God. And I could do videos with a ton of people that knew me then and know me now, and they will tell you the difference in me is night and day. And it happened overnight. So I was watching YouTube, and I used to hate prison. Anybody talking about prison, I couldn't stand it. I didn't want to think about prison. I still have dreams about prison. But I was watching a guy named Damel Hanna. He was on 23-1 with Old Death. And he was in the same prison I was in. He did 17 years and he was innocent. The Innocence Project got him out. He was gangster disciple. In prison, we would have been enemies. But he's the man that told me I needed to quit downing myself and being so hard on myself all the time. He's the man that helped me forgive myself for the horrible things I've done. And he's the one that suggested I do videos. And I thought, you know, I can't do them in schools. They won't let me talk about God, but they'll teach our children about oral sex and all kinds of other crazy stuff. Okay, maybe I'll do videos. Maybe I can reach some people that way. And there has been a few people that I have helped. Not the targeted group I was trying to help, but I've made some wonderful friends and I have touched a few lives. But I'm going to try again. Except for this time, I'm going to protect myself. I'm going to try not to cuss. I'm going to try not to give them any reason to do what they did to me. Because what they did, they'll never admit it because they love justifying how self-righteous they are, how good they are, how noble they are with their causes. What they did is they took 3 years of a man's life and messages from his heart, not only to young people trying to help them, but to family members and friends that could have had those after I was gone. They took all that away because somebody didn't agree with my views on things. So I need to remember that we are free to say whatever we want in this country, but only as long as we're saying what they want us to say. I need to stick to my story, and I need to stick to what God did for me. And then on a free platform where you're allowed to say words for what they really are, and you're allowed to speak the truth, I can say other things. But maybe these videos will lead people to other platforms where they can see me on that platform. But in the meantime, I'm going to put them up on all those platforms, and I'm going to still come on YouTube because I've met some people on YouTube that I truly care about and consider friends and people that I would go down swinging trying to help if I could. So that's where that stands. I'm going to try loading this up. And, you know, my videos, I don't edit them. They're not all fancy with fancy intros and this and that and the other. What you see is what you get, and it's real. It's the only thing I promise you, it's real. There ain't no lying to it. Oh, and there's my Amy.
I'm gonna go get ready to take the dogs for a walk.
All right, I gotta find my keys, man. It pisses me. Well, that makes me angry. All right, I gotta start this bike up. But yeah, I'm gonna try to load the video up and I'll have to start all over. But I mean, I did. I shed some tears over it because on all my videos, I truly did. I wore my heart on my sleeve, and it got easier, but it was very, very hard for me. I like not being noticed. That's the thing I hate about this bike. I can't go nowhere without being noticed. This is my Harley I always dreamed of. That's my custom I always dreamed of. But see, I never had it because I was spending money on drugs. And I finally got clean, and we paid the house off. And we paid off the first brand new vehicle we ever bought off the lot. And everything was paid off. And I asked my wife, I've had a lot of bikes in my life, you know, sports bikes, used bikes. And I put the word out with all the bikers I knew that I was looking for a bike. I wanted to try to get an American made that I always wanted. But I couldn't afford because of bad choices in my life. And a man that I go to when I want solid advice, how to handle things right, he's got two brothers in a 1% motorcycle club that offered to patch him out. He won't do it. He said he wanted to go a different direction in life. And he joined the military. He was in the military over 20 years. And then when he got out of the military, he went to work at the steel plant, retired from the steel foundry. So now he has his military benefits. He has his pension from the union at the mill, and he has his Social Security. Whenever I want solid advice on how to do things right, that's the man I go to. This is the bike he built. That's his last name and his family coat of arms right there. His dad, there's 7 brothers. I never met him before I went to Arizona, but I heard the name. And believe me, when I say the name was one of those names that, but even before I met him, when I'd hear that name, I knew that name meant do not mess with them. He's got 7 brothers. And believe me, they are all, every one of them, fighters. Serious. But he did things right in life. And he's been building Harley since he was 15. And his dad, this man had prostate cancer, was fighting that. The woman he loved since he was 16 years old just died of cancer. And he was taking care of his father, who fought and served under General Patton in World War II, who had dementia and Alzheimer's. All that going on at the same time. Any one of those things is enough to put a man in the fetal position. And I told him, I said, Dave, my wife did that work her whole life. There's going to come a point when you're going to have to get help. He said, I will not put that man in a nursing home. He stayed true to his word. He's in remission with the cancer right now. And when he heard I was looking for a bike, he said, I got one I could sell you. And I said, what kind is it? I figured I was going to get something used. This bike had like 300-400 miles on it when I got it. He built it for his firstborn son, but his firstborn son's scared to death of it. It's the biggest engine Harley makes, and it's got a 6-speed transmission and a racing carburetor on it. And you can't be gentle with her. Hey guys.
We're gonna go for our walk.
They're going for their walk. See you guys in a little bit. Have a good walk. Protect Mama. You got your pew-pew?
No, because we cut through the school.
Oh, yeah, you can't take it on school grounds.
Yeah.
I wish you'd carry it with you.
I know, I just need to find a way to walk.
You got that holster in there.
I got a holster, yes. I need
Do like I used to when I was younger. Just keep it in the front of your pants or the back of your pants. Just.
I need to find a route that's good for them.
Okay.
So I'm not walking in the road.
All right. Well, all right. I love you too. But yeah, I'm gonna have to start all over. And they took a lot from me. I was really depressed for about a week. But you can't let people keep you down. What the fuck was that? You hear that? Sound like a gun right there. She's okay. Yeah, this bike though, you cannot be gentle with it. Hold on, I got started up once. Get started in a minute. I got pressure, manual pressure relief valves I got to push on this bike. It's got too much compression. If you don't push those in, it makes it really hard to turn that engine over. Now I got the button on the starter. A lot of compression. Come on, baby, be a good girl to me. Let's go. When I first got it, I kept forgetting those pressure relief valves, and I messed the jack shaft up. I got a bigger starter put in. Okay, let's do it like this. What the hell? Something be wrong. I smell gas. Come on, baby. Ignition's on. See, did you hear that? Don't want to turn because I got to push them every time. Rosie. You can say she got it all. You cold bitch. Never had a woman. Never had a woman. Sakura. She ain't been started for a minute. What the hell? Ain't sounding right. Plugs are on. I gotta choke it because I can smell gas. I will push those valves in again. Gosh, what is going on with you? Ain't that damn cold out. Rosie. Whole lot of woman, whole lot of Rosie. where it sucks gas. She was bogged down. Oh, come on, baby. She gonna fire this time. Come on. Oh, fuck. I mean, what the heck? Let's get some. What is going on with you, girlfriend? Come on. You only get so many tries. What the hell? Whole lot of warm. I'm getting upset. Piss me off. Here. Come on, baby. Now it's running out of battery. Great. I'm gonna have to get off here, figure out what's going on with Rosie. If I get her going, I'll play a video of her going. I need to take her for a ride real quick. She needs to be run. Later. Oh, blessings to everybody. And Carpe Diem, seize the day. You don't know when it's gonna be your last.